Hi guys, welcome to Vesna TV DIY. For today's video, I'm creating some tier tray decor items all from the Dollar Tree. So to start, I am going to be using some fabric from the Dollar Tree to create my Christmas tree on this wooden plaque that I also got from the Dollar Tree. So before I added the fabric, I actually spray painted it with some heirloom white spray paint, and I'll show you the bottle a little bit later on in the video in the episode. And it's just a spray paint from Rust-Oleum. It's more like an antique white, so I spray painted it out in that color. And then I just cut little strips from this leftover fabric from last year from the Dollar Tree. I haven't seen it this year now. I have not been going a lot to the Dollar Tree, to be honest with you. I'm trying not to spend so much money at the Dollar Tree because it gets very, very expensive. So I just cut it into strips, and I eyeballed the size of the strips. I try to make them some longer, some shorter, and I wound up just cutting them to size as I was putting the tree together. So it doesn't really matter what size you cut them bigger, and then you can cut them to size however you wind up having them, like how big you want to make them, which ones you want at the bottom. It really is up to you. So you're gonna see kind of what I did, and then you can kind of take it from there when you make your own. And you can use any fabric. You don't have to use Christmas fabric. It's whatever fabric you have left over. If you have like a color scheme that you're going with for your DIY for your Christmas, you could use this in your color scheme. But these are the fabrics I had left over, and I thought they would be really cute on a Christmas tree. So some of the pieces I wound up twisting and then hot gluing in the middle and then putting them down. Other pieces I tied in the middle and then hot glued them down. So again, it just depends whatever look you're going for. It just depended if the piece was a little bit too long, and I was afraid that if I cut it, it wouldn't match up. So then I just made like a little clump, and they all kind of look like they have clumps in the middle. If you wanted to be really precise and have everything kind of be like super lined up, you could also put one of those wood dowels down. Not wood dowels, like, or you could use a dowel, but you could use the skewers from like the barbecue section that they have at the Dollar Tree, and just glue it down the middle, so then you have something like a point and you could tie the ribbons around it. I've seen that done before, but to me this was easier, and I did not want the wood piece on there, so I liked the way this turned out, and I just alternated the fabrics. I also tried to kind of point the fabrics up a little bit, just so that it would look kind of like a Christmas tree. I always do that with my branches too. I kind of aim them upwards. And then at the end, I just put a snowflake sticker, and then at the bottom I just did a piece of a tumble block that I had, and I hot glued it to the bottom, and I painted everything in a black color. I also dry brushed around the piece, so here's what that looks like. And I just dry brushed the black around because I thought it would just give it more of that rustic feel. And I always like the dry brushing and the antiquing and all of that stuff. I haven't done black in a long time, but I really like the way this turned out. I think it's really, really cute, and it'll look awesome in a tray. I will have a tray decor video next week, not next week, the 16th coming out, so I hope you do check that out. That episode will be over on Vesna TV Home, so make sure you check that out. I'll have it posted in my community as well. And then for the next DIY, it's another cute one as well. And this is probably the easiest DIY ever. I'm ashamed to even call it a DIY. So I like to save Christmas cards that we get, and this is one from last year that I saved. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this frame from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be cutting this old Christmas card to size. So what I do is I take out the little picture that's in the frame, and I kind of use it as my guide of where I'm going to cut, and then I cut it to size, and I put the little card in there, and that is the DIY. I love this frame. I don't want to stain it or paint it or anything. You could if you wanted to. You could use any old frame that you had, but this is the one that I used, and I've used it for Halloween too, and I just love the way it looks, and it's so easy. and anyone can do it. Just save your Christmas cards or buy new ones if there's really nice ones that you like. Sometimes not all of us have printers that we can print images, and maybe we don't want to be, you know, maybe we don't even have a hot glue gun or something like that. So this is something simple that you can do and create really cute decor for Christmas or for any holiday. And you can use that frame for Christmas, for Halloween, for Easter, and just change out the picture. So it could be something really inexpensive that you do. You could even take like from magazines or flyers or something. If there's like a picture of a Christmas tree or something that you like, you could use that too. And that could be even simpler and even cheaper. Let me know what you think of this one. And on to the next one. The next one is not my favorite one. I shared it with you anyway, maybe just for the idea. I don't know why I was having such a hard time with it. Anyway, my camera also turned off in the middle of it. So what I wound up doing is taking one of those window films from the Dollar Tree and one of these wood pieces of oh my gosh, wood Christmas trees. I can't even talk. And I was originally going to put something else on the back, and then I decided to do this on the one side, but I did go back to it and do the other side as well. Like I said, my camera turned off, so all I did was Mod Podge the window cling to the wood Christmas tree, and then just go around it with some green paint. And then for the other side, what I'm doing here is putting some Mod Podge onto the wood piece, and then I'm going to take a napkin, a Christmas napkin, and put it on, Mod Podge it on, kind of decoupage stuff on there. What I did was I forgot that you needed to separate the napkin and just take the one layer. And I separated it, and then I realized that there was another layer to it, so I had to take it off and do it again. Anyway, live and learn. Make sure you take off all of the layers if you're going to do this, and make sure your hands are clean. My hands were kind of sticky, so they were sticking to it. It was just kind of like a mess. As you can see, this weekend was a mess. This whole week has been a mess for me. I was really, really sick from last weekend all the way until like all week I've been sick. I'm still sick. I finally felt a little bit better today. That's why I could do some of these. Some of these I had done. I just had pre-done when I did my other DIYs, but I was able to finish these, but I was sick. And then yesterday I cut my hand, and I had to get, well, I thought it was going to be stitches, but they glued it together, so you can see that in the video. So it just wasn't the best DIYing day, but I did finish what I had started previously, so that way I could get something for you guys today. That's why I'm late. And yeah. So anyway, so here it is. So you're going to put Mod Podge at the bottom, Mod Podge at the top. And then I just took some sandpaper and I sanded the edges down, and then I went over top of that with that forest green on both sides, kind of dry brushed around. So I'll show you both pieces finished again. So here they are all finished. Like I said, I think they turned out okay, but they're not my favorite. So here's the one side, and I wanted it to be a bit vintagey, and here's the other side. On their own, they're not the best, but I think they'll look okay in a tray. They'll just be a nice filler. Okay, for the second last DIY, I have this jar. This is not Dollar Tree, but you can get these jars at the Dollar Tree. I've used these jars so many times. They're from Peaches that we get at Costco. And I'm painting out the jar in that heirloom white. And I'm painting the lid out in a metallic gold paint. And they're both, one is Rust-Oleum, one is Rona brand. Rona is, well, they were bought out by Lowe's now, but they were a Canadian company. So this is their brand of the metallic paint. We still have a few of them around. And then I'm also using this Merry Christmas card from from the Dollar Tree. It was just a set of cards. And I'm going to be Mod Podging it onto the jar itself. Then I'll be using some jute rope, and I'll be tying that around the top of the jar, and then I'm going to add some embellishments. And the embellishments are just like one of those little trees from the Dollar Tree, the bottlenose tree. I think bottlenose trees is what they're called, and just two little. I always want to call them acorns, and they are not acorns. My gosh, the English word is escaping me. Pine cones. So I start off by cutting out the image kind of to the size that I want it to be. I wanted to keep the Merry Christmas, but it was just too big, and to cut it down so it would fit, it would just, I didn't like the way it would look, so I wound up just using the car image, which at the end turned out to be great. So what I do is I cut out the image and then I wet it around with a paper towel, and then I use my hand to just kind of rip off the pieces over around it so that way it looks kind of vintagey. So I Mod Podge the image to the jar, and be generous with the Mod Podge. Add lots at the bottom and then lots over top. There was just a little piece that was kind of sticking up, so I wound up hot gluing that down because the way the image is, it's kind of like a puffed up image. So I wound up hot gluing just the little pieces that were sticking out too much and not gluing down. And then I hot glued the jute rope around and added my embellishments. And at the end, I wound up dry brushing some black around. This episode had a lot of black dry brushing, which, like I said, I haven't done in a while, but I really like the way it looks. I did it for some of the Halloween stuff, and now I kind of am going back to doing it again because I like the way it looks. So here's the finished piece, and again, I love it. It's so cute. It'll just look like a nice little tray decor piece. Now I won't use all of these in one tray. That's why I didn't want to really put them, showcase them in a tray. I'll kind of use them in different trays to add to what I already have. So this last DIY is more of a makeover than a DIY. I picked up the ceramic truck at the Dollar Tree and I just gave it an uplift. So I painted it, and what I did was I used that heirloom white that I used throughout the project, the spray paint, and I spray painted it all in white. And see how it gives it more of a yellow color rather than that clear white, or that crisp clean white. And then I just went and I dry brushed black all around it, and I added some to the tires, and then just any of the grooves I added black to it. And I did it on both sides, and then I painted the Christmas tree in black and the wreath black, and then I added some red to the bow on the wreath, and that's all there was to it. I actually also used a Sharpie because it has this little Mary banner that goes around the truck. So I used a Sharpie just to kind of outline the triangles. And then I did go with a brush over top in a different kind of green, but I used like a lighter green to go over top of those. And then I used a black Sharpie to go over top of the words where it says Mary. And so here it is, all finished and painted, and I think it turned out really cute, and it'll go great in a tray. I'll have to probably prop it up a little bit so that you can see it, but that's it right there. So let me know what you think of these, which one was your favorite, and make sure you come back next week for another Christmas episode, Christmas DIY episode. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have an excellent day and stay safe, everyone.